All right, joining me right now we have, the CEO, basically, of The Sanctuary, Jon Patrick Trosky. Jon, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Steve, it's great to be on your show.
So, Jon, let's get into it. I mean, right now, The Sanctuary is the talk of the town up here in the Northeast, and especially from where you guys are coming from in Pennsylvania. Basically, I don't know, for anybody listening right now who may not have heard of The Sanctuary, and if you guys haven't heard it by now, then I don't know what rock you're living under. But Jon, tell us about The Sanctuary and how you got started.
Sure, and I can understand if somebody's never heard of it. Again, it's kind of a new starting kind of company. We've only had 6 shows. I've only been in business for 6 months, so I mean, we are babies in this. However, I am extraordinarily proud of where we've come in this past 6 months, and I do know where we're going into 2015, and I'm extraordinarily excited to see how this next year plays out for all of us. But for those of you who don't know about the Sanctuary, this was a vision that myself and a couple other guys came up with, knowing on how to better the business, and this actually. To be very honest, this started all the way back in 2007 when I left the wrestling business and actually segued into the stunt and movie business. And my stunt coordinator, Douglas Crosby, was actually the person that came up with the name The Sanctuary. We were on set of The Wrestler when we were training Mickey Rourke, and I remember a conversation between myself, him, and Mickey Rourke. We were talking about, if this movie succeeds, how can we give back to the professional wrestling business? Because anybody that's been involved in it really knows how very difficult this lifestyle can be. And we really wanted to figure out a way to try to give back to the younger generation. And there's a much bigger picture to all this eventually that we want to give back to the older generation as well. But this is the beginning foundation of it. All started there with a bunch of conversations. As I progressed in the stunt and movie business, I made a decent amount of money. I know I've made a couple $100,000 in stunts and movies. And all of this started because of the very lucky opportunity I had to train Mickey for that movie, myself and Tommy Suede, under, of course, the guidance of Off of the Wild Samoan. And again, this opportunity would not have been possible without the Wild Samoan Training Center, basically being the school that was picked to train Mickey. But I guess I was the only one that really pursued the stunt and acting career after that movie. And pretty much with a lot of the collective money that I made in that business, I invested into a church that I bought here in Pennsylvania. Now, again, that helps with the whole concept of the Sanctuary. It's a big old gray stone church. It's a pretty big facility, but again, it had a theme to it. Again, when you're inside of a church, there's a presence, there's an ambiance.
Yeah.
And I've been over the last, probably the last year and a half. And really and truly, before we ever ran a show, I probably owned that building for a year, just in remodeling it and building an arena to be able to house this facility. And ironically, before there was ever an NXT, before there was ever a WWE Performance Center, we were trying to figure out how to build the proper facility to basically do an all-in-one studio, all-in-one facility to be able to train wrestlers, be able to shoot wrestling shows, and then be able to expand and actually just create greater things for the business. But again, for the last year and a half, I've been building this place, and it's really been coming along. I mean, we've definitely sunk some money into it, but I know if anybody's ever seen any of the videos that have come out of the place, anybody's ever seen any of the photographs that come out of the place, the visual aesthetics of the building are breathtaking a lot of times. And for something that is just quote unquote independent wrestling, it really is, I consider, a significant step above what most people would be expecting to come into for independent wrestling. I think most people picture indie wrestling inside of a VFW hall or inside of an old high school gym, and it just kind of has all the lights on in the building, and it's just kind of, it's a wrestling ring inside of a building where there's 8 matches and that's it. We specifically came in with the intention of modeling WWE and basically building a little arena that we could do a Monday Night Raw in and prepare the next generation for television professional wrestling, not 1980s pro wrestling. And I apologize for cutting you off. Was there something?
No, yeah, I'm looking at the photos too while you're talking, and like you said, I mean, for everybody who hasn't checked it out yet, head on over to facebook.com/sanctuarypa on Facebook for some of these photos because I'm checking them out right now, and then like you said, you remodeled this church, and you guys, it gives it a new feel. You know what I mean? Like you were just saying too. People when they picture going to maybe indie shows or whatnot, you're going to a high school gym or the old bingo halls. You're saying, but this, you look at it and it's something else. That the building alone just adds that extra character, to the whole, I guess, show that you guys are presenting, and it's really great. I mean, the videos you guys put online, the photos, it really adds that extra element, and I salute you guys on that because it gives you guys a different look and a different feel that nobody else is doing right now.
And I really believe that has been an enormous team collaboration to be able to have gone as far as we've gone. I mean, and I talk about the building a lot, and to a lot of ways, in my own heart, the building is the star of the show just because it is so unique and has such a unique look to it. We have a big 22-foot video screen in there, one of the big old tie-and-tron trusses that, the old Monday Night Raw kind of set had. And again, the lighting setup is incredible in there. And actually, for anybody that sticks around and continues to watch the programming, I didn't spend this much, but there's about a $30,000 lighting system in there now, and I would say maybe only $5,000 of it has been implemented. There's all the really high-end equipment is yet to be implemented. Like we have some really good high-end quality color-changing lights and some high-end animated lights that would create that visual aesthetic of like when the Undertaker comes in, everything goes purple. When Kane comes in, everything goes red. Like we have a lot of high-end stuff that we have yet to implement in the building just because I've been doing this kind of all as a one-man show. The Sanctuary is a culmination of a lot of my life's work. I definitely teach all the professional wrestling end of the business that I go in there, but also I'm a college professor at Penn State University, and what I teach at Penn State is IST and technology, and we are implementing a ton of technology into this place, and none of that's been implemented really besides the webcasting software. But there's some new pieces of technology coming out, like Oculus Rift. One of our things that we're trying to do is build an Oculus Rift camera rig in there that somebody would be able to sit out in California or upstate New York, and you'd be able to put on one of those Oculus Rift headsets and feel like you're inside of the building with a virtual reality headset.
Wow, that's awesome.
We are developing an app in one of my classes right now so that anywhere in the country you'll be able to see our shows for free. From your phone or your iPad or any other mobile device that you have. I know that we have plans to get on like Hulu, not necessarily Netflix, actually a little bit harder to get on, but Roku and Xbox and stuff like that. So, I mean, all of these things we plan to be able to roll out over the next year and a half. And I mean, all these things, there's a lot of paperwork back end and not only that, just the development of the software side of it. But I mean, the Sanctuary's got a lot of really great things coming down the line, and I'm super excited over the next year. And with all this being said, I'm talking about what a great venue it is and what great tech we have in there. I stepped in shit, and I ended up with one of the best talent rosters on the independent scene today. Everybody kind of saw what I was building down here, and we have a tremendous amount of talent from Anthony Bowens, who I believe within the next year to a year and a half will be signed by WWE or TNA. I think he has an incredible look. Is one of the most humble wrestlers I've ever, or business people I've ever had to deal with, and is just so good in the ring. We have Damian Gibbs, who just has a presence to him and has that aesthetic look of what you expect a WWE superstar to look like. Atu, the God King. Oh my God, that character! And that man has committed to my product so hard that it was day and night. I remember when he first came into the Sanctuary 6 months ago, we had kind of a vision of doing like this Muslim terrorist thing with him, of like to basically say this is a terrorist that no man could beat with his hands, one of those sort of things. And this character has developed into this presence that I can only describe is similar to the Undertaker. I mean, the crowd doesn't necessarily cheer or boo him. They just respect. And again, it's not like they're sitting in that, it's not like they're sitting on their hands like, it's Atu, nobody can. No, the crowd drops, they stand to their feet and they just watch. And I haven't seen something like that in professional wrestling in a very, very long time. So, I mean, between him and the tag division, we have the extra guys, the Dynamos. Dynamos, I think, are going to be huge on the indie scene. The Scumbag Nation with Rude Boy Riley and the talent on this roster, and of course, my best friend in the world, the Dynamic Sensation, my very first ever professional wrestling student. We have one hell of a roster, and I'm I'm super excited for the future of the company.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about, I mean, you said some of the roster on here. I'm looking through the talent. So you guys had some great matches. I mean, you had Ben the Beast Ortiz. He was the first graduate of the House of Hardcore.
Ben's going to be huge in the business. I apologize for missing him. Honestly, it's a shame because we have so many talented guys. Ben, Keikoa is up here now. We got Caveman Chad, and even in the back in the locker room, now we have so many great agents that are helping. I literally can run down every single member of my roster, and on most indies, I can go to most indies and anybody who's ever read my Angry Wrestling Vet page, they know that I bitch and I complain about all the shit on the indies. I can go to most indies and go, cut that fat, cut that fat, cut that fat. Our company doesn't have a lot of fat to cut. It really doesn't.
Well, now that the cat's out of the bag, too, let's talk a little bit about the Angry Wrestling Vet. If you guys haven't seen this yet, I'll let you describe it a little bit. Tell them what you did and how this came about, I guess, pretty much for anybody that doesn't know about it.
And as I've been unrolling the history of the Sanctuary, I really did leave out one of the biggest keys of how the Sanctuary came about. After I got into the stunt business, I really didn't know how to give back to the professional wrestling business because, again, I didn't have a lot of money and I didn't really know how to quite fix things. And as Jon Trosky, or Supremely Great, there wasn't the opportunity to get the reach to the general wrestling audience because who the fuck's Jon Trosky? Who the fuck is Supremely Great? And listen, I'm not somebody that runs around and talks about how I was the biggest fucking superstar of all time when I was in independent wrestling. I had a minor name, I would say, between the years of like 2000 and 2005. I mean, I toured 10 countries, 4 continents, probably 40 of the United States. I mean, I got around and I had a significant independent wrestling name, but it's been so long since I've been in the business, it's kind of tough to get the reach with that. So one of the ideas that we came up with was this concept of an Angry Wrestling Vet under a mask of basically somebody nobody would know about giving advice. And I mean, the advice I gave was from my heart. And I know in the beginning of Angry Wrestling Vet, I got accused of a lot of things of like who I was and oh, it's just a mark that, watches shoot videos. Let me tell you, I've watched like 3 shoot videos in my life. I literally just watched the Paul Heyman, My Name is Paul Heyman video, which, holy shit, I see so many similarities with The Sanctuary and myself and ECW that, and not to compare myself to Paul Heyman because that man is a true genius. Not saying that I'm not, but, that man has beat me to the punch on a lot of things. But the Angry Wrestling Vet was purposely put out there to give young wrestlers advice on all the mistakes I made. Trust me, I would say half of the advice that is on there, I made the same mistakes. And now that I'm out of the business, it's so much easier stepping back and looking back into the bubble. One of the pieces of advice, I know I bitch and I complain about it all the time on there, have proper wrestling boots and have proper wrestling gear. Let me tell you about this. I never once owned a pair of wrestling boots in my career. I wore amateur wrestling shoes, but I never owned a pair of wrestling boots. But I understand why now. You should have it's an investment in yourself. It's a commitment to futuring. Like once you buy those wrestling boots and you drop $300 or $400, you are getting committed to this business. Because then you're going to say, I'm going to buy a nice pair of wrestling gear to go with these boots. And then you're going to start carrying yourself as a brand. Then you're going to start caring about your character. Because now you're a couple $1,000s invested in you.
Yeah.
And as you're investing in yourself, you're going to work hard to not waste your money. Unless you come from some like a mommy and daddy that pay for everything for you. If you're actually hustling and going to a job and earning your money, and you're taking that money that you earn and you've invested it in yourself and invested it in your brand is going to become a lot more strong, a lot more powerful, which in a recent wrestling clinic, somebody asked me, what is the most important factor that you can have as a professional wrestler? Is it your actual wrestling ability? Is it your mic skills? Is it your size? And to be very honest, I think it comes down to passion and presence. If you approach this business fully and completely and give it all the passion that you possibly have, and that makes you so committed to something, it immediately makes you carry presence with you because you are all in. And people can feel it when you're balls in. I'm sure your listeners can feel it in my own voice, how passionate and how all balls in I am on the Sanctuary and how committed I am to everything that I'm doing here. That's something that can't be taught. That's something that's got to come from within you. And one of the things that we try to do at the Sanctuary with the students is light that fire underneath somebody. And it takes time, but, you know, people develop it. And when you follow a lot of the advice that I would put out on Angry Wrestling Vet, trust me, it's not me being a schmuck just putting out random bullshit. It is solid advice, and it gets your mind prepared for this business in the proper way.
Definitely. Now, let's talk a little bit about this Sunday coming up, January 25th. You guys are having a little rumble yourself to crown the first champion of the Sanctuary. Let's talk about a little bit about that.
I'm super excited about that. That is, in my opinion, it's our biggest show that we've done yet. We have invested probably close to $1,000 in our belt. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of it, but yeah. It's up online again. The belt is, in my opinion, and again, I'm obviously clearly biased, it's the most beautiful belt in the business currently today. I think the WWE logo, the WWE Championship is nothing more than a branding of their company. So I actually don't think the WWE Championship is that great looking anymore. But there is something about my belt that gives you that nostalgic winged eagle sort of thing, even though ours has a phoenix on it for, again, the rebirth of the business. Mm-hmm. And it just has enough branding for the Sanctuary, and it's just, I sit and I look at it at the house all the time. I go, you know what, if I would ever win a damn belt, this is the one I'd want to win. However, and I really want to make sure I state this really, really clearly, you know who will never win that belt? Me. And frankly, I'm somebody who doesn't really want to even wrestle for my company because, as I've said on Angry Wrestling Vet, if you're a promoter and you put yourself on the show, you're being a fucking mark for yourself, and it gets real hard to separate what's good business for you versus what's good business for the company. That's right. So I really do try to keep myself, distanced from the actual product itself, so I can be the director and the producer that I plan. And once again, because I'm in the movie business, I look at myself now as a director of this, and I don't even look at the event that I do as a professional wrestling show or sports. I look at it kind of as a sports entertainment show, but I look at this as I have a bunch of cast members, and I am the director of them, and this is a show. This is a TV show based on pro wrestling, not a pro wrestling that is on TV, if that makes sense. Sure. I think that's what Monday Night Raw is, and I know a lot of purist and wrestling fans don't like hearing that because you're taking the wrestling out of wrestling, but I'm a purist of wrestling, and there's nobody that appreciates good wrestling more than me. But wrestling has nothing to fucking do with wrestling. I'm sorry to break that news to the wrestling audience. Chris Benoit would not be a household name if he didn't murder his family. Sorry, and at the end of the day, The Rock, Stone Cold, and when I say Stone Cold in his prime when he was making money, Hulk Hogan and John Cena were not very good wrestlers. Stone Cold had a broken neck and blown knees. Stone Cold was a great wrestler at one point, but when he was doing what, and bottom line, because Stone Cold said so, he had a broken neck and blown knees in his matches. He punched, kicked, and said what? It really wasn't a complicated wrestling match yet. Great worker, awesome worker, but, not necessarily when it comes to technical, efficient wrestling. You didn't think of that with Stone Cold. Those are the guys that made money in the business. They were entertainers. They were actors. Every one of them were some of the best promo cutters in the business. And most importantly, they had presence and stature. Well, I'm getting off track again. This Sunday, we're crowning that champion. And I know we're doing the 30-man thing every 90 seconds. And again, this isn't going to be one of those rumbles, because I think my show currently, we only have 3 matches plus the rumble itself. But those 3 matches, I can tell you without hopefully ruining it for everybody, are very well, how do I want to say this, scripted. As far as the storyline to be able to carry into the Rumble itself. And then the Rumble itself isn't like, oh yeah, guys, it's 30 guys, just go out there and, have fun. I hate to be breaking down the fourth wall of booking here, but I really don't care. This is something that I have a minute-by-minute script for to be able to carry the entertainment value. The same way, fuck you guys, if you don't realize WWE is a minute-by-minute script for their Rumble that's coming up Sunday, you're retarded. Like, this is the business that we're in, guys. This is something I've put a lot of time and a lot of effort in. And I mean, between me, and I'm not telling you who the other creative elements are involved in my company, but between myself and some of the other creative people in the company, we're planning to produce a very good, entertaining show. That'll be hopefully this time, because I know that Sanctuary 6 ran almost 3.5 hours. I will never do that again. And that wasn't by my choice or my design. It was, that show got away from me a little bit. This will be a tight 2-hour show of good, entertaining, performance, and I'm really, really, really excited about it. And guys, anybody that's paying attention right now and listening to me ranting this long, tickets are $5 Come down and see it. $5. It's going to cost you more in gas to get to me than it is going to see the show. And gas is $2 a gallon. Come out and see it.
That's right. I mean, you guys put on a great. Anybody can pay for $5. Come on now. I mean, a great affordable show, and you guys are doing some great stuff. I have one quick question too. Has there been any backlash about, because you own the building of a church, right? But I mean, in the town, does the town, has the town welcome
I
you
actually
guys?
thought you were going a different direction with that question. Good, I'm glad you went that direction with it. Has there been backlash about the church? No, because I've been, and if there is, I'm ready to make any argument to anybody that really wants to make the argument with me about a church. I'm somebody that is, as I'm sure you hear that I'm ranting so much, I'm a pretty good speaker that I can argue somebody into a little hole. But no, I haven't really had an issue with the church thing. I've definitely had issues with politics in the wrestling business and some other promoters and other promotions definitely not wanting me to exist or wanting me to give the building to them for free or something like I've dealt with so much politics since I've started up, and I mean, thank God in 2015 as we're moving forward, I have been tirelessly working to bury all heat that has been coming my way about the sanctuary, because I'll tell you, I don't know whether it was that these other promoters, bookers, or people that are in charge had a problem just with me starting a company, or if they felt that I was going to be a threat to them or something. But man, I never planned to run anywhere outside of that church. Like I have my promoter's license. And I think they were worried I was going to take this show on the road. I don't know if you guys go look at the pictures. Imagine moving that fucking set between the ramps, because the ring, the stage that we have, and the ramp that comes to the ring are both 20-foot WWE rings. And they're the old, real fucking heavy ones. And then you got the 16-foot ring, a Titantron truss, the entire lighting rig. There is no way, unless somebody's coming in becoming a backer for my company, that I'm moving any of this shit out of this building. And frankly, I don't got the time for it. This is supposed to be my quote-unquote hobby, and I'm still supposed to be, a full-time college professor and a full-time actor stuntman. I'm investing every single second I have outside of those other two lives into the sanctuary. So, I mean, yeah, I've got no backlash about the church itself. And again, if there is issues with the church, I've been keeping it very PG in there though too. Yeah. Like nobody's been cursing. There's been blood in one match, but I mean, like I've been really keeping a good control of the product. As this product evolves, and I believe in my grand vision for this, because I know we got boxing coming into the church, and I know we got MMA coming into the church. After the town sees boxing and MMA in there, I don't want to hear shit out of the town about Attitude Era stuff, because I know that in the long run with this, I plan to be rated R and I plan to be Attitude Era. But for right now, it is remaining PG, and I'm just going to try to keep. Again, for the same reason, like I'm sure tickets are going to go up to $10 at some point. But for the first, I'd say all through 2015, they're going to stay at $5, just because I want to get the crowds in there. I want to be selling out. I'm doing this for the boys. I'm not doing this for myself. And anybody that any of the boys that know this, I give 100% of my ticket, whatever I get on the gates, I give to the boys. I pay the doctor his fee, which is he's doing me a huge favor. I'm working a lot cheaper than I think he does for a lot of other people. And then the rest of the money gets an even split. I don't let anybody play I'm a superstar in my locker room. So, if it comes back that there's 10, 20, $30 per wrestler, it gets an even split per wrestler, whatever the ticket sales are, so it's a really good environment where everybody really gets along and everybody sees the vision moving forward and everybody's really passionate about it. It's a really great thing. And this Sunday, it all culminates with the crowning of our first champion. And I know there's going to be some nice twists and turns in that Rumble that are going to be really entertaining. So, I mean, I'm really, really excited about this Sunday.
Well, John, I mean, I know we barely we barely touched the surface with the Sanctuary. We appreciate your time, but where can people find you guys on social media and all that for everybody listening? Where can they find all the stuff again to let everybody know?
Sure. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/SanctuaryPA. The Twitter account is @SanctuaryPATV. We also have a one that we're trying to phase out, which is Sanctuary Pro PA, I think, or something like that. But Sanctuary PATV is what's going to be moving forward through 2016. We're having a little bit of an issue right now currently with our Instagram account, so that one, just keep checking back at the Twitter and the Facebook for that one. We are currently developing the website, which is sanctuarypatv.com and sanctuarypa.tv. Again, this place is going to be a completely social media and completely web-based company. And YouTube. Until we have 5,000 subscribers, we're not allowed to have the /sanctuarypa. But guys, subscribe to our YouTube page. It's really easy to find. Look up Sanctuary PA TV, and you will see every single show that we've had, every single match that we've ever had at the Sanctuary is broken down on there. So I mean, it's a really good collective of talent. And I mean, if you have some time, go check it out. I mean, it's an incredible product.
Well, Jon, we here wish you guys nothing but the best in 2015, and we're excited to see what comes out of the Sanctuary this year. We'll hope to have you on again in the near future. We wish you luck. We wish you a lot of luck this Sunday, crowning your first ever champion in the 30-man Rumble. Jon, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
29 will enter. One man will stand as champion at the end of the night. Thank you, Steve, for having me on. And January 25th, if you're not there live, please watch it. We live stream on YouTube, so you can check it out on the YouTube page and watch it live if you can't make it.